We're back with another super special guest. Today's guest is a pro MMA fighter who is from Lancaster, PA, but relocated down to the Fort Myers, Florida area. He's coming off a recent submission victory at CFFC 147. Ladies and gentlemen, strictly business, Christian Carr. So you're from Lancaster. You've been
Mhm.
there. You were there pretty much your entire life, and now you're out of Fort Myers, Florida. Just why Florida and everything that went into that relocation process for you?
Basically, I was just back home training as is, and I got a DM on Instagram from Cosmo Alexandre, who's a seven-time world champ across Muay Thai and kickboxing. I remember first off, I just sent it to my kickboxing coach. I said, "I wonder what this guy's about to text me about," before I even read the message. But in talking to Cosmo, he was looking for somebody to run a jiu-jitsu and MMA program out of his gym. I gave it a shot, came down, gave it a visit, and we connected really well. So we decided to step on the gas pedal, get it going. Big change. Lots of cool opportunities have come out of it. So overall, so far, I'm really happy. I took the leap and made it happen.
Yeah. How long did that process from like when you found out to when even thought about it and then
Yeah.
deciding and then till you actually get there?
We He messaged me in December. I visited in January, and I moved down on the 1st of March. So we got
Mm.
right to it.
Yeah. And then I'm
Yeah.
sure you were wondering like why he reached out to you specifically. Like, how did he know about you? And
So what's really cool is years ago I was at LMM Outfitters, which is a hunting camp up in northern Maine, and I had met a friend of mine, Lemmy Gavra, and he was from down here at Cosmo's Gym. His brother James is an MMA fighter himself. So when Cosmo was looking to fit this role, James had just mentioned, me. I kind of fit the script for the credentials he was looking for, and he just kind of threw a feeler out there, and we just kind of got going with it. So, um, funny enough, of all the martial arts connections I have in my life, hunting camp is what got me down here.
you make the move. Good Boy Family, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Just your first day, there as a resident of Florida and you're meeting
yeah, yeah.
everybody. What's that like?
When I came down in January, we threw like a couple feeler classes out there. I taught a gi class, I taught a no gi class, and I taught an MMA class. So we they already had a great established gym as far as like clientele went. So it was all about gaining interest in the jujitsu and MMA aspect of everything. So we kind of had a handful of people who knew they wanted to get into it when we got started, but then it was all about getting it going. And something that's really cool down here is we have a real young group of guys, so everybody's pretty committed on looking for competition down the road, and they're showing up consistently. They're all young and in shape, so um, the turnover on their "I'm tired" and stuff is typically pretty quick. We got a couple guys that are training a couple times a day, even so. Getting down here and getting it going, it's kind of a little nerve wracking. Never starting out my own jujitsu program before, but if you build it, they will come, like they said in Benchwarmers. So we got it going, and it's been up and up since we got it started.
And then how are you just acclimating just to Florida in general? Obviously, big change
Yeah.
from PA. Are you full
Yeah.
Florida culture now?
I've owned my first pair of flip flops for about 7 months now, so that's a new one, and it's basically the only thing I wear now. When I first came to visit, it was 20 degrees in Lancaster, so I wore two jackets to the airport, and I got off. It was 70 degrees here, and everybody thought it was cold.
Mm,
Um, but it's funny too, because as I'm getting in, I moved down in March, so springtime. Everybody's like, "Oh, you wait for the summer; it's going to be so hot," and
mm-hmm.
it's hot, it gets hot in Lancaster too. The difference is down here it just doesn't really let up, so it's just hot all summer. But I work inside, so it's not that big a deal to me.
Want to go back to that gym owner,
Mhm.
Cosmo. Just talk about him a
Mhm.
little bit. Obviously, decorated fight career. I remember when Sage Northcutt first went to one championship, and
Yep.
that fight that was insane. But how is he, as a coach, gym owner? trainer?
It's funny, obviously he's a very well established, well respected person. But in coming down here, he's the nicest guy, and he's a really really good friend of mine. Now since we've been working together, so overall, that's the best thing that could have come out of it. He's not just my boss; he's a friend of mine. We work together. We go out, we eat together, we spend time together. It's not just a partnership, but a friendship. And ultimately what we're trying to build between ourselves and in our gym in general is a family atmosphere. We're not just showing up to make a buck off these guys. They're not just showing up to get what they can out of us, but we're really trying to build and grow together, in all aspects of life. So it's been really positive, as far as just the general connection goes. And then Cosmo, just being a veteran, knows so many people and has created a lot of great opportunities for chances to train with super high level people. Through his connections that he has, and obviously being able to work with him and himself, his experience and his ability to coach is unmatched. So it's been super helpful, especially in the stand up department.
Speaking of opportunities and connections and things like that, you get your first fight in almost a year
Yep.
since you had your second last, and
Mhm.
then it's under Cage Fury. Just first of all, when you get that, offer and stuff like that, being that it's the bigger promotion, what were your
Yeah.
thoughts when you first found out you're fighting there?
Over the years, I've had a ton of opportunities to work with them, and maybe the timeline didn't work out. Actually, when I was supposed to have my first pro fight, I was supposed to fight with them. I ended up getting hurt. I needed knee surgery, so I had to back out of that. But it's kind of a long time coming. I've never had necessarily a preference as to who I fought for, but every promoter tries to be your friend, and until they're not. But as far as working with somebody, I like them to work with me like they're going to do business, and they're going to, um, put on a good production. And, overall, it was a great experience working with them. It was very professional from start to finish. Cool things like I fight for them, I get to watch it back. Michael Chiesa's, the commentator, not only is he commentating my fight, but he's talking about past fights I've had, past finishes I've had. And, it's cool to have somebody of such a high caliber, even on the lower levels of the regional scene, taking time to do their homework on me. I got guys that have watched me fight live, and they couldn't tell me what I'm about. So
Mhm.
it's really cool to see a real vet like that who took his time out of his own day to watch some of my old stuff and bring some intel into the fight for the fans, give a good technical analysis, not just make me want to watch my fight on mute around my family because they're saying whatever they want to say. So it was cool.
Backstage leading up to it, like, is there any extra pressure? Like, they got the extra production, the lights, everything like that.
As far as fighting for the promotion, I'd say no. As far as like extra pressure, new pressure comes from is I did move down here. I'm working with a new team, and I'm the lead example for this team. Being a coach and one of their pro fighters. So um, to back my own product up, I have to go put it on in front of them. They might have watched some of my old fights and stuff like
Mhm.
that. They've seen I've done well, but this is my first chance to really to be able to display to my own students, what I'm about. So to be able to go out and put on a good performance was really important to me, not for myself, not for the production, for my students to be able to, you know, build their trust in me and what I'm going to show them, because I'm willing to, put it on my own shoulders and go do it in front of them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge point. I'm sure they would have had your back either way, but yeah, like you want
Yeah.
to prove the product, so to speak. And then the fight itself, you do get a first round submission victory after kind of a crazy sort of jujitsu grappling scramble exchange. Just take us through that kind of sequence.
We knew my opponent was going to be a grappler. He's got a lot of submission wins, as both of his pro wins were by submission, and he had a handful of amateur wins by submission. I mean, every fight he's ever been in has gone to a finish. So we knew he was gonna. I don't think he's ever even been to a third round. So I knew that he was gonna come out, firing off. And we had some people that I got to work with who had seen him before and knew what he was about. So one of my corner guys, Pat Moran, was running me through my leg lock defense. And the week leading up to it, we were running it over in the locker room, and it was the perfect prep leading up to it. I've been training a lot of Muay Thai, so I was hoping I got to put a little bit more of that on display. But even though all my wins are coming by submission, everybody tends to try to take me down. So we
Mm-hmm.
had to start grappling. Started to attack some leg locks on me. Uh, and like I said, and just in my preparation, we were anticipating that. So I defended it. I ended up throwing a counter foot lock on him with a toe hold, and I just felt his foot snap into pieces in my hand. It was probably one of the grossest things I ever got to hear.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
we get out of that exchange. I get on top, and I'm like, all right, I'm in his guard. I know he's a good jiu-jitsu guy. I'm like, he's probably gonna try to arm lock me. And I'm like, he's not gonna arm
Mm-hmm.
lock me. Next thing you know, I'm in an arm lock, and I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Like, how did I let this get this far?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but dropped my shoulder, turned my elbow. I got to fight through that, and then um, defended that position, scored a couple shots on the ground. It's funny too, in being a coach, I want to put on a show for my students and stuff like that. But I put them in this necktie position, and I'm like, my one student has been throwing these Peruvian neckties in class. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to hit this for him, which is a pretty risky throw in an MMA fight. But I
Mm-hmm.
went for it, and he ends up clearing my leg. I lose that position, but I followed up with my bread and butter, which is that Darce choke. So it was cool. I got to, let it fly a little bit to try to put one out there for my student, but you know, also got to show that we can throw one thing up, make adjustments, and follow up with it, and we got the finish.
Yeah, yeah, that was incredible. And then, like you said, being able to watch it back and everything, and then the clips
Mhm.
everywhere and such high quality.
Yeah.
Sure, that's awesome to have access
Yeah.
to immediate thoughts, emotions afterwards.
The lead up to the fight and everything is nerve wracking. You signed a contract now. You don't not think about the fact that you have to fight this guy in the next month or two, however long out you're getting ready for it. But I owe it to my team and everybody that helped me prep. I was working with my strength coach Robbie Grow over the past year since my last fight to help up my conditioning and up my explosiveness and just my overall well being as an athlete. And then I also added in a nutritionist for this, Eric Pena. He helped, kind of get my body ready as well. So I felt really confident in my preparation. So um, being able to bring all of that into fruition and get the job done and get the job done early. It's just a sense of relief at the end of it that all this stress that you kind of put yourself through willingly, which is
Mm-hmm.
you know kind of a part of it. I'm choosing to do this, so I can't really complain. But making it happen and just saying to yourself that every step of the way was all worth it, and all the stress that you stress yourself out with, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that hard at the end of the day, but it's
Yeah.
all worth it.
Do you feel like spoke on it a little bit, but that kind of solidified like the move and just everything like that for you? Just kind of that's the right path that you're supposed to be on.
It's only going to get better. I'm going to continue to build connections in the area. I'm going to be able to continue to build my program. And as my results show, I'm going to be able to have the opportunity to have more guys come out and train with me that are high level in the area. So I think it's just really the beginning of what's to come. Like I said, I've been working on that Muay Thai. I didn't even get to put it really on display. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'll tell Cosmo he's got to give me my first knockout. I keep submitting everybody, but down the road, I just I'm only trying to seek to improve. And like I said, adding a strength coach, adding a nutritionist. I'm not trying to cut any corners. So I think I have all the skills in the world to make it happen against anybody. But it's just making sure I'm in the best condition to do so on the night I need to is really what it's going to add up to. Another thing that I'm getting out of being down here is there's lots of opportunities for some big jiu-jitsu tournaments. So coming up in November, I have the ADCC trials that I'm getting ready for. So I'm going to go throw my name in the hat and try to compete against those guys. And then I got some IBJJF tournaments down here as well. I'm going to do to wrap up the year, and then come the new year, get ready to get an MMA fight going again as well. So I'm taking advantage of what's around me. It's just 1 2 hours in either direction, and I get the opportunity could be to compete against a lot of high level guys. So that's really a blessing to be down here.
Preview some UFC stuff. 321 coming up
Yeah.
this weekend. I love that bantamweight division. It's one of my favorites. I think that's like the
Yeah.
third to last fight. Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Mario
Yes.
Batista. What are your thoughts? How do you see that going?
That's gonna be amazing. Batista, he's obviously very tough, and he's beaten a lot of really high level guys to get in the position to win this fight. But I like those Dagestani guys. I like their style, especially
Mm,
Umar. He's very versatile on his feet. A lot of people they'll say they don't like watching them because it's a grind fest on the ground, but he really brings it on his feet. And then when it comes to the grappling, he's also super sharp. So I just respect the discipline and the preparedness that they always bring. So as far as that card goes, that's definitely my number one. I'm looking forward to, and I'm Team Nurmagomedov on that for sure.
yeah. Were you surprised with how well Marab handled Umar?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising how Merab handles everybody, because
Yeah.
yeah, you're looking at a spectacle of somebody who is doing something in a way that not a lot of people have ever done before. He's
Mm,
called a machine for a reason, and it really goes to show that um, you know, just pace and overall pressure and relentlessness can be a huge tool for somebody. And luckily nobody's broken that streak for him yet. But I'm just excited to see how that continues to hold up and see how somebody eventually solves that problem.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And then he's fighting Peter Yan again in December. I think that'll be his fourth title defense in a year. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
a record, but I'm sure it's close if it's
Probably
not.
close. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
in that fight, what I see the stats, like, Jan defended 38 takedowns the last time they fought, but he still got taken
Mm,
down 12 times. Like,
jeez.
getting taken down
Yeah.
12 times as a fight is ridiculous, let alone getting shot on 50 times. So, it just goes to show that nobody has the kind of cardio that he does. So,
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that fight as well. Bantamweight has been very exciting. I've been a big Corey Sandhagen fan. I was really hoping
Mm.
he would fight O'Malley while he was champ because I thought he was going to beat him up,
You're
but
still not a fan of Sean, right?
never.
I remember
But
that. I remember.
yeah. but but I like Sandhagen. He's so technical. I've always been a big Dominic Cruz fan, so
Yeah.
somebody who really has a big mind for the sport, like Sandhagen. I thought he was going to be the guy to get it done, but
Yeah.
Merab's in your face and he doesn't stop.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have been wanting that Sean and Sandhagen fight for a while. That would be insane.
So like the two tallest guys in the division too, so make them fight each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. And then the main event, UFC 321, Tom Aspinall. Now the finally UFC undisputed heavyweight
Yeah,
champion
yeah.
taking on Cyril Gahn. How do you see that going?
I mean, Aspinall, I think only Arlovsky's been the one that's been able to take him out of a first round.
Mm,
He's seemingly unstoppable, and his only losses, to my knowledge, are when he's got injured against like Curtis Blades.
hmm
Um, Gone is going to have to deal with the grappling aspect of things because Aspinall is a freight train, and I guess since that Jones fight, he's really been focusing on his grappling a lot. He's obviously a good striker, so I'm excited for what's to come with it. As far as the heavyweight division goes right now, there's nobody I'm like super hot on. Obviously, John Jones stepping
hmm
back in the mix is always a thought and always an exciting option. I went to that last fight John had versus Stipe, and that was like
Oh
crazy.
wow. Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'm just hoping for a good fight. If I'm betting on it, I'm just betting somebody gets finished because I don't see that going 5 rounds.
How about your gym? Any guys have any fights or anything coming up with some of your guys down there?
Fights at the moment, no. But I got a handful of guys that are getting some grappling tournaments in. We just did as far as starting a gym in March, we already have a handful of competitors,
Mm,
handful of guys that are winning the local tournaments. We went out to the ADCC Open in Miami. I believe it was July. We had some good competitors there. We'll probably have some doing the Open before the trials here in November. Um, so I'm excited just to keep the ball rolling with these guys. I think we had 5 guys compete at our last tournament. So as far as our guys competing, lots of guys hot on the jiu-jitsu competition right now. We have some people doing some Muay Thai events, not necessarily sanctioned fights, just like light contact type things.
hmm
But overall, as a gym, everybody's just building up, and in the coming year, we'll definitely get a lot more people active in MMA, Muay Thai, and jiu-jitsu. So I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, and think I saw you share something just pretty recently. There's some fights actually happening in Fort Myers. Were you just supporting that or?
As far as the card goes, I don't know if any of our guys will get on it or not, but yeah,
Mhm.
just one of the guys has been coming to our gym, starting up his own promotion, and
Oh
you know, it's
wow.
literally on the same road as our gym. So hopefully we can get some people out there. If not, it'll be a nice local show to be able to go check out. So I'm excited for it, for regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. They need some late replacements. You just walk down the street and get in there.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we had a
Yeah.
crazy one. My one student, James, he took a match the night before. It was a jiu-jitsu match, right? But it was at this MMA event. Took a match
Mhm.
the night before. We drove up to Clearwater. He did it. I meet this guy there, and his opponent backs out during the walkout. Says he pulls his hamstring, and
Oh wow.
they pulled a guy out of the crowd to compete against him. It was crazy.
Dang. And you think he had any libations or anything like that? Any drinks in him, or he just wanted
I
to?
don't know, but he just stepped in, took his shirt off. He was wearing sweatpants, and he ended up actually winning the match. So it was
No
crazy.
way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
It'll definitely stuff like that definitely will happen. So,
Yeah, that's like when you read the news, the Florida man, all that stuff.
oh yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, you visit any
there are some
gator farms or anything like that?
gator farms. No, but we got this cool little
Really?
walking trail around here. My
Mhm.
girlfriend and I will go take a stroll around sometimes. So we get to see some gators out in the wild and stuff. That's
Yeah.
cool. You know, just something we don't have up north. Seeing them swim around and eat some fish and all that. It's cool.
Yeah. Any plans like are you coming back up anytime soon? Christmas maybe, or any plans to come
Yeah,
visit?
maybe around Christmas time, we're kind of seeing how, you know, my girlfriend's work schedule and stuff will come up. I was up recently
Hmm.
for a good friend of mine, Letitia and Jeff Patoka's wedding. So
Oh
um,
yeah.
I actually had to do that the week before my fight. I was up there cutting weight while being in their
Oh my
weddings.
gosh.
All worth it for some good friends, but yeah, definitely. If I'm up that way, I'm going to be getting in my gym with you know, the guys I came up with, and you know, being able to spend some time with them. I keep trying to get all of them to come down here and beat up all my new guys, but you know, they got jobs and stuff like that, so they can't just come down every day.
Sure. Yeah, and Letitia has a fight coming up soon again,
Oh,
December, I think 6th for Art of War. That's gonna be exciting.
I
I
think
think I'm
so.
gonna be at that one.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, Letitia's one of the best examples of a student I've ever had. Just somebody who, you know, like I said for myself, doesn't cut any corners. She dots all her I's and crosses all her T's on everything she does. So, you know, go out and expect her to put on a show every single time, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think Aaron Kennedy might be the main event there, and then I've seen him a
Oh,
few times, and then I'll get to see Letitia in person. But yeah, I'm
yeah,
super excited for that. But yeah, again, appreciate you joining me back once
you got
again.
it.
You just want to plug your socials, all that stuff.
I'm strictly business Carr on Instagram, Christian Carr on Facebook. I actually just started Twitter for the first time ever, Christian
Oh yeah,
SB R. So I'm on the Twitterverse now, so you can add me up on there as well.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you again. Look forward to everything you got going on.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, man.